how did you first start learning the guitar? Perhaps you just started experimenting on your own, or you decided to enroll in guitar lessons, or you bought a book, or you watched a video, or nowadays it seems you can just download an app. All of these approaches to learning the guitar are great, but they do not paint the full picture of a holistic guitar learning journey. Learning the guitar is such a multifaceted experience that if you limit yourself to just one or two approaches, you run the risk of becoming just a guitarist and not a musician. What do I mean by that? Well, a guitarist is someone who can play the guitar, that big wooden box with 6 strings strung across it. It's a physical activity, but just playing the guitar doesn't necessarily make you a musician, at least not immediately a good one. Being a musician is so much more than just your instrument. It is who you are as a person. A musician listens, understands, creates, communicates, influences, expresses, and embodies the art of creating beauty out of organized sound through your instrument. So now with that, I'm going to share 5 domains you should actively seek out and engage in to ensure you have a holistic guitar learning experience. Domain number 1, technical skills. This one is pretty self-explanatory and is likely the first domain you cover as you learn the guitar. After all, you need to physically play the guitar to exercise your musicianship. So this includes physically playing chord shapes, scales, melodies, and things like posture, fingerstyle, flat picking, all these different styles of techniques. The list goes on and on. You can learn technical skills from a teacher, videos, books, and recordings. Now, that was pretty obvious, so let's get straight to the second domain, repertoire. It's not enough to just learn scales and chords. As a guitarist, you apply these techniques into playing and performing songs. But it's not just about learning songs, but having a library of songs, pieces, and music that you have internalized. The nature of this library varies depending on your genre. So a jazz guitarist, for example, needs to memorize many standards. And a pop guitarist should have a grasp of signature guitar tunes. And a fingerstyle guitarist should study and learn the pieces from fingerstyle grades. And even if you write original music, well, you can't be an artist in a vacuum. Music is an ecosystem. You need to listen and learn from other artists, as other artists will likewise learn from you. Now the third domain is theory. Theory is to understand how music works. And you can gain this knowledge in a multitude of ways. But there are 2 main types of theory that we need to examine: explicit and implicit. Explicit refers to what you can commonly find in theory books and online courses, things like scales, chord voicings, and how to organize rhythm, and so on. But implicit theory is much harder to grasp and teach. Implicit theory refers to the rights and the wrongs in playing music that are more subjective depending on the context in which it's played. So in the context of Western music, it could be the use of non-chord tones in a melody. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And this can differ depending on who your listener is. But let's take another musical culture. In the context of, say, South Indian classical music, the movement of one note to another is extremely precise. And it's practically impossible to notate this kind of movement in a book. On top of that, what's considered an acceptable movement differs depending on the context and piece that's being performed. Now, all that is to say is that implicit theory is not something you can simply pick up from a book or YouTube videos alone. No. You can better understand implicit theory from being a part of a musical community, having a teacher or teachers and peers to interact with musically. Now the fourth domain is creativity and expression. Now you can see we're getting from more tangible domains to the intangible. So how do you learn creativity and expression? For For that matter, how do you teach it? Well, having a good teacher helps. Creativity comes from you. A teacher's main role in this domain is to create an environment for your creativity to come through. In other words, it's to encourage the creativity that already lies within you. Alright, the same goes for expression. A teacher can show you how to make a melody flow, sing, and make a piece evoke a certain emotion. But beyond that, it's up to you to interpret it and convey that emotion in your own music. So how do you go about developing creativity and expression then? Well, it is simply to put yourself in musical environments. Listen to music, and I mean really listen actively, not just have it play in the background while you cook. And also things like watching concerts, jamming with friends, talking about music with others, and spending time alone with music. Think about music. You get the idea. Simply immerse yourself in music. Now the fifth and last domain is culture and values. Now this last domain, culture and values, is perhaps the most overlooked one. Being a musician is not just about the music itself. It's also about the cultural context that makes the music what it is. Blues would not be blues if not for the people who created it and the trials that they face. Pop wouldn't be popular if not for the masses who listen to it, and flamenco wouldn't be the outpouring of passionate emotion it is if it weren't for the social conditions that cultivated it. So understanding the cultural context and values attached to the music you play is not just about reading a history book, although that will help, but it's about being part of that community or placing yourself within that community and absorbing its values through osmosis. So the best part is that it all comes around to improving your playing technique, your musical expression. In the end, it all benefits you. Right? So for example, as I study flamenco and Carnatic music, I place myself within these local music communities, and it gives such a richer perspective to why the music sounds like it does. With that, I feel that I'm better able to embody the essence of it, even as someone not native to these musical cultures. Now, I truly believe that you will find your guitar learning journey so much more fulfilling, enjoyable, and holistic as you actively seek out these 5 domains to grow in. So let me know, what style of music do you play on the guitar? I'm excited to know what different guitar communities there are in this little community that I have here, all my viewers online. So do leave a note in the comments below. And with that, I wish you all the best in your guitar learning journey.